inclusive martial art, really the first mixed martial art. You have to be able to defend yourself if you're at a disadvantage or someone's disarmed. And so, if you have to be able to defend yourself, if you have unequal weapons, you have to be able to defend yourself in the war, in ambush, anything. So one game we play to simulate this, have your pen step out for a moment. This is Dan Rossetti. Dan, you may notice, is not holding any weapons. Dan gets to be in the cookie jar. We play something called the movie ninja game. If you've ever watched movies, the ninjas always attack one by one. And of course, this is realistic for being attacked by a gang of people, but it does make you react quickly to changing circumstances and attacks at different angles and different circumstances. So, can I please have the ninjas come on out? Very nice. So we have quite a number of ninjas here. They're white ninjas. Okay, so spread out. Get a little closer. I mean, get a little like move out. Okay. And one at a time, they're going to take turns killing Dan. And then if someone gets to stab Dan, well, then they get to be in the middle. It's a fun game. Ready? Start. One at a time.
That's a fair step.
It's a fair step. One at a time. I don't like that one. Okay, now Robin is former Special Forces, so he has a unique take on this.
You're not rushing in to go after Robin.
Wait for the crowd. Watch out! Watch out for the crowd. Move that way. Move that way.
Io lo prendo. Stava
Thanks, Super Tag. Jeff, wait for the crowd. Okay, now Sandy is smallest, but she's also the most vicious. She's kind of like a Wolverine. Move that way. Move close to the chairs. That way. All right. In the middle again? Okay. One more round. Yeah, don't let it fall.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, salute. Salute. And shake hands. Kumbaya. So, studying medieval martial arts, and this is real self-defense techniques, right? No one here has been studying more than 2 years, I think. No one here has been studying more than 2 years, and some of them, I mean, Evan and Gabrielle, Stefan was studying like 6 months or less. So, considering the level of experience in the group, I think we did pretty well. Anyway, finally, of course, perhaps most spectacular in George R.R. Martin's imaginary, though slightly factually based world, is knightly combat, the arts of combat in armor, in tournaments, in war, which Dr. Forgang and Mr. Mark Millman, this is our curator. We have a very cool museum. We have a curator with his own suit of armor. So Dr. Forgang and Mr. Millman are going to demonstrate combat with knightly full axes now for us. Gentlemen, thank you, pleasure.
It always helps to have the right tool for the right job. Full axes specialized for armored combat, I'll show you a little bit more about that later on. But we'll start off with the armored longsword.
So you can see, one thing that Martin gets wrong is that he has people using their weapons in two hands. Whereas, as you can see, Jeffrey and Mark were doing what's called half swording, which Jeffrey will explain a little bit more about.
So the number one rule about armored combat with a sword is that the edge of the weapon is of absolute no use to you. Because I can do this to Mark all I like. I'm barely even getting his attention. The edge is irrelevant in an armored combat. You can really only use the point and the hilt. And that's why you see us starting off in this half-sword, spear-like position.
I'm beginning in the upper guard, from which I can thrust down on Jeffrey's vulnerable points into his elbow or his throat or his face, since he's wearing his visor open, which many knights did choose to do despite the danger. But from here, I don't think I have as good a chance as from the lower guard, which Jeffrey has already adopted.
And I think that he's just opened up an opportunity for me. With a good stab up the nostril, I can give Mark an unscheduled nose piercing.
However, it's very easy for me to defend against this and counterattack Jeffrey simultaneously, because by thrusting straight into Jeffrey's face, I displace his point. If he extends now, it's just going to go right over my head. And of course, I'm returning the favor. Jeffrey would look good with an emerald, don't you think?
Well, clearly Mark knows a little bit of his stuff. He's used to handle the sword before in his life, but let's see what kind of a grappler he is. A armored combat often comes down to wrestling techniques in the end. If I can get my sword around his neck like this, you can see I have my knee behind his knee, and then I'll pull up above, push down below, and try to get Mark down onto the ground. Now, contrary to the popular myth, a knight in full armor is quite capable of getting up on their own. In fact, a well-trained knight is expected to be able to jump onto his horse's back without even using the stirrups in full harness. But if I can get him down there, even for just a moment, that could be the window of opportunity that I can exploit that will win me the fight.
That would be bad. I'm going to work my arm up inside Jeffrey's hook, push it away to get rid of that grappling force, and then I'm going to simply raise my sword, and put out Jeffrey's eye if I can.
Now, this is a potentially serious threat, but it's not a very well-controlled thrust, and he certainly doesn't have a lot of power over the blade. I can actually just deflect it with my hands. My entire body is a shield. You'll notice knights in full armor did not actually carry shields. It was superfluous. My whole body is well protected. Now, of course, I've got my sword now just in my left hand. I'm going to play with that. If I can deliver a really powerful blow with the crossbar or with the pommel, whack, across Mark's head, at the very least I'm going to ring his bell. Maybe I'll even get him down onto the ground.
I catch that on my sword between my two hands. I'm back in the half-sword position. And now I can wind around Jeffrey's sword, hook my pommel onto his crossbar, and with a little shift of my weight, disarm him.
The sword is not necessarily, however, the weapon you want to choose if you know you're going to have foot combat. Sure, we can do that one more time. We'll do, so now that you've got an idea of what we're seeing, we'll do that whole sequence one more time at speed. So the sword is not necessarily your weapon of choice if you know you're going up against an armored opponent on foot. The sword is a very versatile weapon. It can be used on horseback, on foot, in armored combat, unarmored combat. But if you know you've got to take apart somebody like this is the tool to do it. A poleaxe or a warhammer, as it's sometimes called. It's got a stabbing point, typically a stabbing point at the rear end as well. It's got a pleated hammer for getting a really powerful blow that's actually going to get a purchase on the glancing, rounded surfaces of a suit of armor. And it might have an axe head or a beak as well. So we're going to show you what we did actually at the beginning of this encounter. I decided to come in, and right now I'm threatening more potentially with my butt, but perhaps I can take him by surprise by delivering a blow instead.
But that's coming from way behind Jeffrey's head. It's a long time coming, I can see it. And I'll turn and meet it with my own axe head, knocking it out of the way. However, I can't quite get to Jeffrey from here, so instead of going over the top, I'm going to come underneath, put my haft against Jeffrey's shoulder, and shove him away in order to clear space for a follow-up cut.
Obviously, I can't let this thing land on me. Once I've actually stopped the attack, again, as with the longsword, I'm going to try coming in to use grappling techniques. And if I get my knee behind his knee, and very similar to what you just saw me do with the longsword, I can throw him to the ground this way.
But it's going to be much harder for me to just grab Jeffrey's weapon and push it away. Instead, I'm going to lift my butt up into Jeffrey's armpit. And in that sensitive spot, a little pressure will send Jeffrey straight away from me. Now again, I've opened up room, and there's space for me to swing my axe with a full blow.
I catch it once again, and I'm going to use a variant of the technique that Mark just used with the longsword with me. I'm going to slip the butt end of my weapon in behind his, swing it around with a good gang, whack! Simultaneously, I can disarm him and give him that powerful blow on the back of the head that I've been looking for.
That's especially effective with a weapon as with a balance so weighted towards the far end.
So I much prefer how that one turned out for me as opposed to the longsword encounter. Do people want to see it one more time? Yeah. All right, let's go. Unfortunately, Mark has read all the combat manuals that I have as well. So there's really nothing I can pull on him.
So, thank you very much. This was martial arts of Game of Thrones, which was really, as you may have tell, kind of about Game of Thrones, but really more about the medieval and Renaissance martial arts we study at the Higgins Armory Museum, where of course you're welcome to join us, where we have a regular program of teaching, and which you can see on our website, higgins.org. Everything from armored combat to rapier, to unarmored longsword, to greatsword, to self-defense. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope it was educational. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them. Well, Jeffrey and Mark will hydrate. Do you have any questions? Anyone want to see the stuff?
How would mixed combat play out? Like with two mismatched weapons, like if someone had a longsword versus a greatsword?
How good are they? How good is that? We're actually going to do a little bit of mixed weapon combat. By the way, we're doing another later martial arts demo a little bit later, Gaslight Grand Assault. How long would it last?
Or what would the person at disadvantage want to do?
It depends. I mean, we have a lot of mixed and mismatched weapon descriptions in the various treatises and manuals. It really depends on the relative skill. Of course, the person with the longer weapon has a reach advantage. The person with the shorter weapon can get inside of them. So there are various, various tactical advantages and disadvantages to each. So it really depends on the qualities of two individual fencers. Yes? Good question. what made me interested in this sort of stuff. I was, well,